For many in the Western world, Christmas is shaping up much like it always does.
The elves have been very busy.
Despite a few familiar challenges, rising costs, inflation, the season rolls on. But in other parts of the world, the obstacles go far beyond economics. Coming up, the people losing everything during what's meant to be the most wonderful time of year.
Start again, we've lost everything.
And while millions don't have enough, others are left with far too much.
The waste generation increased dramatically in that period of the year.
We unwrap the uncomfortable statistics behind the holiday season and ask what all that festive joy really, truly costs the planet.
I mean, surely there should be a sustainable way of fixing this problem. We can't continue like this, taking one step forward and a couple of steps backwards.
Just 2 degrees is on. Now.
So we're talking climate change here as it pertains to Christmas. Has the world been naughty or nice this year?
Oh, this is a very big question.
This is one of the scores of wildfires that burned through around 10,000 hectares of bushland in Australia's New South Wales in December. I mean, how can anyone truly celebrate Christmas after losing their home and belongings? Authorities had warned of a high-risk bushfire season. They're recalling the so-called Black Summer fires of 2019-2020 that destroyed an area, well, the size of Turkey and killed around 33 people. But Australia isn't the only country dealing with climate disasters this Christmas. Floods in Indonesia killed more than 680 people and left hundreds missing. Ghani's wife was one of them.
Yang saya inginkan itu, Pak. Ketemu istri saya sepotong tangan asal bisa diadili dari itu lebih dari itu, Pak.
Some of the most heartbreaking images are coming out of East Africa. It's hard to believe that in 2025, so many people still don't eat every day. Drought conditions in Kenya, for one, have been made worse by the US's slashing global aid programs. It's affected thousands across the region, including 4-year-old Peter, who is severely malnourished. And this is East Africa's most advanced economy. Yet around 179,000 people are experiencing emergency levels of hunger in Kenya, well, according to the UN. Even already dry countries are struggling to keep up with the climate crisis. And check out this frozen market in Yakutsk, Russia. It was an incredible minus 45 degrees Celsius on this day. I mean, that would be unthinkable for many of us. But residents say it's normally a lot colder around this time of year, as low as minus 55 degrees.
Надо одеваться хорошо. И горячий чай пить почаще. Если на улице термосы. У нас мы с собой термосы чай берем.
So we've seen how droughts and floods have once again shaped December for millions of people. But as many families come together to celebrate Christmas, there's another side of the season that often goes unnoticed: the sheer amount of waste we produce and the impact on the climate that comes with it.
Merry Christmas! Tivoli Christmas! Christmas in Tivoli! Welcome to all of you!
Christmas, one of the most joyous times of year. Homes light up, and for a brief moment, life seems to slow down. But once the celebrations are over, the waste quickly starts to pile up.
My guess is that a lot of people don't have a stigma against secondhand, but when it comes to buying presents, they think, should I do that? Because they feel that people expect something new.
And that expectation comes at a cost. Globally, studies show household waste jumps by around 25 to 30% during the holiday period. Much of it comes from wrapping paper, excess packaging and decorations. Each year, millions of tons of wrapping paper and Christmas trees are used worldwide. And because a lot of it is coated in plastic or metallic finishes, most of it can't be recycled. So some communities are getting creative. In the US, one farmer has found an unusual solution for discarded Christmas trees.
The goats will gladly eat them. Right now we're feeding them hay, and the hay could get boring around this time of year. So definitely the pine trees are going to be a nice treat for them.
Food waste is another major part of the problem. The United Nations estimates that roughly 1/3 of all food produced globally is wasted. And during the festive season, that figure climbs even higher.
Obvio, me da a veces bronca y digo, ¿por qué Dios? ¿Por qué esto? ¿Por qué tanto desperdicio? Habiendo tanta hambre. Hay gente que más necesitan. Yo el otro día, hace 15 días, vinimos.
Across Europe and the Americas, households throw away millions of tons of edible food over the holidays, often because we overbuy or cook far more than we can realistically eat. And then there's the Christmas meal itself. Foods traditionally linked to the season, such as turkey, beef, dairy and cheese, have some of the highest carbon footprints in our diets. Producing just 1 kilogram of beef, for example, can generate more than 50 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions.
We haven't reached a critical awareness on the contributions of meat or livestock into global emissions. Because status and lifestyle is still dominating in terms of people making choices on what they consume.
And it doesn't stop there. Energy use also surges at Christmas, from decorative lights to homes heated for visiting guests. In several countries, electricity demand rises sharply in December. Add that to millions of people flying or driving long distances to see their family, and the season's carbon footprint becomes hard to ignore.
L'année prochaine, je pense que je ramènerai mon enfant pour qu'il fasse lui-même cette démarche de recycler et d'avoir conscience que ces jouets ont une durée de vie et qu'il faut en faire quelque chose après.
Experts say this isn't about cancelling Christmas, but rethinking it, using recyclable or reusable wrapping, planning meals more carefully, sharing leftovers, because celebration doesn't have to mean excess. After all, Christmas may only last a day, but the waste it creates can linger for decades.
Why do we waste so much at Christmas?
Unfortunately, Christmas is a bit of a time of overconsumption, and people tend to decorate their homes, buy a lot of presents, wrap everything, try to feed their families, buy their families the best food, and so that's why quite often we experience that people buy much more food than they needed. They buy much more present than they can handle, and obviously Christmas is a time of much more traveling also, so people visit their families. There is a peak in travel that time of the year, and what we experience worldwide is that the waste generation increased dramatically in that period of the year. 25 to 30% increase that we experience especially in the Western world, where Christmas is like the main fest.
I wonder if, based on what you've said, if Christmas can truly be sustainable.
Well, definitely people could be much more conscious. In one hand, some part of consumption is belongs to the tradition. Like people all over the world buy about 120 million Christmas trees, just in Europe about 50 million. And obviously it's a kind of an agriculture production associated with greenhouse gas emission. Definitely when people wrap everything in single-use plastic or in single-use packaging, that's really not sustainable, and I really believe that people could be much more conscious on that and use reusable materials. Same with food consumption. I believe that people should really plan what they really need for the Christmas days, and they also can think about how they can preserve after the event, so like freeze it or give it to some homeless shelter or whatever, because the food waste generation is alarmingly also high during this season. People could be much more conscious regarding decorations to use products they can use throughout the year and not only just like once a year, because that means that quite often they just use it once or twice and it's becoming rubbish and garbage. Also with the presents, we have to plan it much better, because we see that many of the presents received by people are becoming also kind of waste. Electronic goods are one of the most frequent presents, and that's kind of contributing to the generation of e-waste and, of course, the hazardous chemical use which is associated to electronic production.
Is capitalism at Christmas crucifying the climate?
Companies really encouraging overconsumption, and we see that basically it's impossible to buy something in a supermarket without overpacking. So you really buy any present or object already packed in 2-3 layers, and that's where people add their own packaging to it. We believe that from also, of course, from media, you always hear that you have to like receive more and give more and buy more, which is definitely not in line with our greener, sustainable future. So I think people must resist and really think about how they can rather give instead of presents some something else to their beloved families and friends, because that's probably not only could save the environment, but could also help in the environmental consciousness of all our family members and surrounding.
There are examples of recycling and reuse this Christmas. One man in West Africa has begun a very cool initiative that could influence how locals view pollution.
From a distance, it's a familiar festive sight, a towering Christmas tree glowing with lights. But look a little closer and you'll realize there's a lot more here than meets the eye.
I didn't even think of it that we can use bottles to create a Christmas tree and let it look like this.
The tree is built entirely from discarded plastic bottles, and it's quickly become a local attraction. Some visitors snap a photo to share online. Others simply pause to admire the creativity. But behind the festive sparkle is a serious message about sustainability. Ghana's capital is struggling with plastic waste. Each year, the country produces more than 1.1 million tons, enough to cover around 17,000 full-size football pitches. But less than 10% of that plastic is recycled. Much of it ends up clogging drains, worsening flooding during the rainy season. The rest is often burned at landfills, releasing greenhouse gases such as carbon monoxide and CO2. The innovator behind the plastic Christmas tree says the issue is personal.
I have asthmatic allergies. So taking the plastics out of the hands of the people who are burning it and throwing it in the environment was important for me.
This isn't Awuku's first attempt to turn waste into something useful. Since 2017, he's been transforming discarded plastic into everyday items, from plant pots to classroom chairs and desks. And this Christmas, Awuku and a team of 30 volunteers have taken the idea citywide. 4 trees, each standing 6 meters tall, each made from nearly 2,000 plastic bottles.
And it was getting to Christmas, so I said, let me make a Christmas tree from the bottles and put it in a public place, which is a powerful way that we can speak to people about the pollution problem. So that was how I started my project, and that was one of the most effective advocacy tools that I've ever used.
Across Accra, the message is resonating. The trees have become symbols of celebration built from a material that's increasingly threatening everyday life. Awuku hopes they do more than decorate the city. He wants them to spark conversations, shift habits, and remind people that even what we toss aside can still have value.
Hi, Awuku. I'm really impressed with your work. I heard you say that it really bothers you when people litter. Why?
Growing up, I've had challenges with asthmatic allergies. And one of the ways people dispose of waste is to burn it. So aside dealing with dust, I also have to deal with smoke. And for me, my entire life, I've been afraid I'm going to die and I'm not going to be able to live the dreams I want to live. So that's been the biggest challenge for me, staying alive.
Is that the only reason why you don't like litter? I mean, a lot of people see people throw cigarettes out of their cars, paper, pieces of plastic, and they get really annoyed.
So my health is one of the main reasons. The other main reason is how when I tune into the traditional media and social media, I hear our politicians talk a lot about all these sanitation interventions here and there, and they're always spending millions of dollars and cedis for me pretending to fix the problem. And I look around the communities, the problems are still there. And I ask myself, I mean, surely there should be a sustainable way of fixing this problem. We can't continue like this, taking one step forward and a couple of steps backwards, and then we are not making any progress. And it's created a kind of problem where our beachfronts are dirty, and we are losing tourism revenues as a country. The beachfronts where the turtles come and lay eggs in Ghana, in the city of Accra, turtles come and lay eggs between March and September. And the beachfront is so dirty that the young ones are not able to find their way back into the sea, and they are becoming endangered. That's a huge problem. And then also the fisher folks and the women who live in the coastal communities are losing their livelihood because the fisher folks are catching more plastics than fish these days. And the waste sector in Ghana has 60% women working in the space. Most of these women are single mothers. They have a lot of dependents, sometimes 4, 5, or more children they are taking care of. But they are being paid, unfortunately, pretty much lower or below the minimum wage in Ghana, which is actually illegal. And our governments have been complicit in that. So being able to create a sustainable society and community where everybody can thrive, that we can keep the waste out of the environment, that we can create sustainable jobs for women and for young people, and then we can keep our communities cleaner and safer is very crucial for me.
I would imagine that since you started building these plastic trees, that people bring you all their trash.
Yes, so I started my project in 2017. It was a plastic tree that I started with. When I have had a background training in sustainable development, SDGs, through the President Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative program. I spent about 5 weeks in Nigeria in training. When I was doing my first degree in marketing, I took a course in environmental management about more than 15 years ago. So I was looking at what I can do at my end to tackle the problem, to create a solution, because I thought the future I wanted, I'm the only one who can create that future. So I was thinking, why has the solutions that have been created in the past not worked? Why are they not working? Why are we spending a lot of money now, but we are not getting the result we are looking for? I'm a design thinking and idea modeling person, and I'm always thinking about what's the best design thinking approach to use to tackle the problem. How do we model a solution that actually gives us the outcomes that we are looking for? So I thought making a Christmas tree from bottles was a nice idea, because I also realized that people remember what they see more than what they hear. So instead of telling people about not polluting the environment, I rather show them what is possible. That one stays with people better than trying to tell them not to pollute the environment, because you show them the solutions, you show them what is possible, it immediately changes their behavior. So that was how I started, and that was why I decided that using the Christmas tree in that way was going to allow me to leverage on arts and the emotional impact and effect it has on people to be able to tackle environmental problems.
Awuku, thanks so much for coming on the program. It is really nice meeting you, and what you're doing is amazing. Keep it up.
Thank you for having me.
It's time for Just to Matter, where the little things mean everything. And today, the thing that matters isn't the plastic, it is the color red, probably the most popular color during the December holidays.
At Christmas, red is everywhere. When it comes to recycling, the color can be a problem. A lot of recycling plants don't see packaging the way we do. They use machines called optical sorters, which shine invisible infrared light onto waste. That light helps the machines recognize what kind of plastic something is and where it should go. But according to recycling industry experts, some colors change the way plastic reflects that light. If the signal comes back unclear, the machine struggles to identify the item and can reject it. The biggest problem is very dark pigments, especially black plastics. They absorb light, making them almost invisible to sorting machines. And while not every red item is an issue, some deep or dark red pigments can cause similar problems, depending on the material and the recycling tech being used. So the lesson this Christmas isn't don't recycle. It's that the design choices matter. Sometimes whether an item gets recycled or not comes down to something as small and as festive as the color red.
What a great story, right? I think it's time we check in with Santa Claus, right, Mickey?
I think so.
Or rather, Sustainaclaus. So we're talking climate change here as it pertains to Christmas. Has the planet, has the world been naughty or nice this year?
Okay, well, of course, ho, 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 here we are in the Amazon. And maybe you've seen that we've come up the Amazon on a boat, right? Big Amazon River. Roger the reality rooster, buck, 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 wake up to reality. And LCP, the low carbon panda, were welcoming children, bringing letters, right? We were collecting letters, children's letters to the future. But the answer to the question, well, you know, who's naughty and nice? Well, I think the Sustainies know, right? Because they've been reading the letters from the children. And the children are saying, we need to have the naughty adults that are polluting the world, cutting down the trees, hurting the animals. We need them to stop, you know, like a good parent. Like a good parent doesn't harm their children, of course. And the children know this. So they're writing letters to the leaders, to the decision makers, and to Sustainaclaus, and to everybody that is making decisions in the world for the children, for the next generation. And Sustainaclaus has a list. And I'm reading the letters that are coming from the children all over the world. And we're going to make the world a better place because we're going to listen to what the children want for the future. And we're going to reduce that naughty list. We're going to reduce it right down to 0. And we're going to get everyone out there on the nice list.
You talked a bit about pollution in your answer there at the start of it. Why do you think we waste so much at Christmas?
Oh, this is a very big question. You know, waste is getting things you don't need. We need food. We need clean water. We need a world that is giving us the health, happiness, and sustainability that we want in Conscience Land. That's where Sustainaclaus lives, and that's where many of your viewers live because they're conscious. They're aware of what's going on in the world. Christmas is a holiday, but you know, it's really a time of year for all people of all faiths that they come together with family. So family is not about waste. You got to feed your family. You've got to protect your family. So we say, X out the things you don't need this Xmas, right? X out the things you don't need and concentrate on the things that you do need: food, shelter, you know, fun, joy, dancing, laughing, having fun, making, you know, fun things to eat. That's what we should be focusing on, not the, you know, wasteful luxury items or, you know, snobby items that we don't need, or plastic toys or junk food and sugary things. We don't really need those. We need the healthy things.
You know, as Sustainaclaus, you are carrying about a message or trying to send a message to people that is completely contrary to what Christmas represents from a capitalist perspective. So when Sustainaclaus brings these messages of sustainability, how do people receive them?
The idea of how people are receiving the message, it's really changing. The people are receiving the message now. COP30 was a situation where many people were uncomfortable, let's say, in the heat, you know, and there was a fire at the COP30. You know, they were afraid, and they were hot, and they were in a foreign land. You know, for many people, Europeans and North Americans, they were in a foreign land. I think it was the best thing that could ever happen to the COP. I think these decision makers who are making decisions for the whole world and all the children in the world, they were uncomfortable, and they saw the real world, how, you know, without air conditioning and limousines and lobster meals, They were seeing how real people live and what the real problems are in the world.
Is that why you called COP30 on your website a big success?
That's exactly why I called it a big success, because actually it was a big success for Sustainaclaus and all the NGOs and all the young people, all the people who are activists trying to make the world a better place. Of course, they were largely ignored by the official world, but they connected together because people are realizing that small groups of people controlling the lives of many others is not working out very well. And they're getting more resilient. They're getting more caring about their families, their friends, their community. They're helping out more in their communities. And as a result, the message is getting through. And especially Sustainaclaus's message of heal yourself, heal your community, and heal the earth. That's how we do it. Smile, change, unplug every Wednesday today, and make other people happy. Why? Because it makes you happy. Change something about yourself. Why? Because you're the only person you can change, right? You can't change other people. And unplug.
And that's our show. So Christmas normally is a tough year for the planet, but it doesn't need to be, especially if we all make choices that truly keep sustainability in mind. So have a great season from myself, from Mikail, and the rest of the Just 2 Degrees crew at TR2 World. Bye.